The United States Grand Prix review. Time for a quick summary. I'm sure this is one of those races that most people watched. This is kind of like the Monaco race because it always gets decided in the United States. So I'm not going to belabor the point too much, but this one was a fun one. And I took a while with this one because I had to update running the site. It's much more involved than just making quick little videos. So making sure that if any of you actually ever click the website, everything's uploaded. So I'll kind of skip around and actually show you some of the driver breakdowns or some of the team standings and stuff like that. So stick around through the duration of this because I'll get to where we stand as a constructor race as well. So if you are new to the channel, just really quick, make sure to subscribe. I make a whole lot of content. I tested out the live stream of the full session with the data view. So I'll be updating the data and I might not be doing the commentary, at least not for the practice sessions, maybe not for the race, but definitely the data viz is done, ready to go. And, got about 300 or 400 people watching it. So it's a pretty good showing for just not even marketing it. The race itself, though, Valtteri Bottas was the victor, took P1. Lewis Hamilton, though, is dominating headlines, taking his 6th world title. That's right, 6 back-to-back world titles, taking 18 points today, though. You had Verstappen in P3. So I think without Magnussen's double yellow there at the end, was at the last sector with 2 laps left. Had he not had the sector with the double yellow where he had to slow down and no overtake, Verstappen would have got him. I'm for sure about that. Verstappen would have got him. So, but he didn't. It doesn't really matter. And even if he did, he still would have clinched. So it's good. Max is still on the podium. That's all that really mattered, I'm sure, to him. Charles Leclerc in P4 on that older spec model power unit. So well done to him after the oil leak in FP3. Actually, a really, really good race. He deserves enough. He's not going to get enough praise for that sort of drive today. Alex Albon, I mean, what can you say? Just delivering, had a incident that was a pure bona fide incident, in my opinion. Really no way to get around what happened for the most part. It was just a racing incident. I'll take another look at it, though. So I'll be doing onboards. Leave a comment in the description below if you have a request for an onboard. But as of right now, I plan to do how Lewis actually won that race. So it started with lap 1. What happened with Valtteri, or what happened with Sebastian at turn 9, and I will also be doing Kvyat, of course. So that one's a no-brainer to me, but I still want to show it. So Albon ended up P5, having quite a bit of overtaking on his hands. Daniel Ricciardo, incredible drive. Now, unfortunately, after that news with Renault, I always feel like catching myself going, well, is it legit? So it is. It's a great drive, but yeah, he deserves that one. That's 8 points right there that he definitely needed. We got Lando Norris, P7, which is a great race for him. He not only beat his teammate, but Lando Norris proved to me this week that he's not just a young, promising driver. He's a driver, and a good one, a very good one. And he battled all weekend, was top of some of the charts, some of the time charts, some of the weekends. So he really did prove it to me this weekend. So well done to him. A double points finish for Renault with Nico Hülkenberg getting P10. Like I said, there was an incident with Sergio Perez late. If you guys missed it, a lot of people actually did. It was kind of like the Mexico Grand Prix because, of course, it involved a last lap incident with Kvyat. And Kvyat was way more pissed this time than in Mexico. So I had his interview ready to show, and I don't really want this video to get throttled any more than it already does by YouTube because I don't work for F1. So yeah, so Kvyat, he cusses. He's pretty angry. Let's just leave it at that. He's pretty angry for his penalty, but it's a clear penalty. I mean, I'm going to look at it again, but it's a clear penalty. I don't really know how you could argue with it. But Kimi Räikkönen learned. I think he talked about learning a lot today, but I think he needed some points and didn't get them, and that's unfortunate for him, especially winning here a year ago. But what can you do? I think Kimi did what he could, and he needed to take the mojo back after Antonio Giovinazzi definitely was taking some of that thunder lately. You've got Kvyat, who, like I said, was demoted after the race, after Perez was promoted back in to get a point. And that point was pretty big for Racing Point, and we'll get to why. But Lance Stroll into P13, Giovinazzi P14, Roman and Pierre Gasly, George Russell P17. So that's an interesting result. So P17 for George Russell, Kevin Magnussen P18, just not a good weekend for him at all whatsoever. Robert Kubica bringing up the rear, and Sebastian Vettel turn 9 DNF on the turn 9 lap It was early. It was very, very early. So it was definitely turn 9. But yeah, he had a DNF. It's a full-blown suspension failure. Something new I've been adding lately, because a couple people were asking, was just like the quick summary. And we had, like I said, Valtteri Bottas taking the win. The driver of the day actually went to Albon. Probably would help if I put pictures here, which I will do, actually, now that I think about it. The podium were Hamilton and Verstappen, like we talked about. Retirements from Vettel, Kubica on lap 31. So I do have the laps. Yeah. So turn 9, lap 9 for Vettel, Kubica, lap 31, and Magnussen had a retirement at 52. But I was saying interesting because he actually, George Russell was making passes on people and passed Magnussen. So, like I said, I've said it. I don't know if I say it too much on this channel, but I think George Russell really is something special. And I think what he's done this year is overshadowed by the fact that people say Kubica's maybe, he's had his turn in the limelight and he's waning down his career. I don't really think that's entirely true, but because as we saw, Kubica still crushed Latifi even before he had his FP1 issue. But we're going to see next week, because Latifi's driving in Brazil, and then he's going to turn around and try to clinch second place in Abu Dhabi. So he'll be in F1 in Brazil and then back in F2 in Abu Dhabi. So watch out for that. He'll be riding with in practice session with George Russell. So and each time they've driven together, George Russell wins. So just a quick little reminder for the back of the pack people who are interested in that sort of thing, which, like me, those sorts of storylines. So that is how the race shook out today. So let's look at the constructor standing. So like I said, I was trying to update all this stuff, and check out the website if you're ever bored or whatever, if you want some more information. But let's go to the constructor standing, and we'll show you why that point was pretty huge for Racing Point. So we had one swap after this race today, and it was Toro Rosso and Racing Point. So Racing Point ends up with 65 points. And let's see here. Toro Rosso ends up with 64 points. Alfa Romeo is lagging behind at 35. And the Renault is pretty far out in front at 83. Now, the double points finish today from both the McLarens and the Renaults, kind of not totally offset. I know that math isn't perfect, but say both with a reasonably solid weekend. McLaren probably left a little bit more wanting, with Ricciardo's punching above his weight I'd call it punching above his weight at P6, but a great race nonetheless with some great overtakes. But yeah, so with the extra Sergio Perez point, that put them clear of the Toro Rosso. So that's a little bit of irony for you. But yeah, so they are just slightly edged ahead. I would be tweaking this, guys. This stuff's actually really hard to build. I didn't, I guess I naively thought I could build this pretty quickly, but even in a week, it's pretty tough to build. So this is just a quick data viz I made for you guys so you could see what it actually looks like instead of just stupid tables and numbers and stuff like that. So they are just edging ahead. And if you guys ever want movement or anything like that, put requests below. But the constructors race is obviously all locked up. Mercedes taking the first place. It doesn't look like there's going to be any movement at the top. Now, the only thing that could happen maybe is that Renault is on some pretty solid form driven by Daniel Ricciardo. What can he do in Brazil and Abu Dhabi? He had a pretty good race in Abu Dhabi, the last race of the season, hunting down Max Verstappen, if you don't remember that. But how, is there anything they can do? Well, yeah, I'm going to make some content this week about what it would take for the midfield to really shake it up, because a lot of people have asked me for that. So I'm going to be making that content this week. But it's not over. It's really not over. And the drivers' race, the drivers' championship in the midfield is even more. It shook up a little bit this weekend, but it's even more jam-packed. So that's the constructors as we see it right now. Let's take a look over at the drivers' championship. So like I said, we see Lewis Hamilton clinching today. We're not here to talk about the number one spot, though. We are here to talk about, let's look at 5 through 10. So 5 through 10, as of right now, we've got Alex Albon jumping in to P6. So that is the major swing we saw happen today after his drive he had. So he's barely outscoring Carlos Sainz, who's been, just like I said, on a roll. The smooth operator is Mr. Reliable with 80 points, who actually, if I remember correctly, actually overtook Gasly this week. But I'll check that. So Ricciardo takes a chunk of points to put him considerably clear of his teammate with 46 points and above Checo. So I think Ricciardo getting best of the rest is out of the question. But like I said, I really do think that Ricciardo is going to end very, very, very strong. I do see a couple more P6s and P7s. I really do think he's going to do that. And Ricciardo's the kind of driver that once he gets in a groove, it's really hard to stop him. So with an extra week break, so 2 weeks until Brazil, that may dampen things a bit for him, but we're going to find out. Pierre Gasly is just slipping away, unfortunately, and his race pace seems to be doing the same, but don't count him out. Of course, Checo is just a seasoned vet. He knows what he's doing, and I think finishing at P10 is not going to be unreasonable. I would love to see Lando in his rookie season get in this top 10. I think it's a combination. It's some content I really want to make, and I've talked about it. But with Lando being so far behind his teammates, most of it is Carlos Sainz performing incredibly well. But that's just one thing we don't talk about, and I think it has a lot to do with the driver dynamic. That when a driver is doing so much better than their teammate, but I mean their relationship makes it really hard to even think about it as other than almost like a mentor-mentee. But that's not it. These are world-class drivers, as we saw today. Lando Norris outscoring his teammate. So it is worth having a conversation. I get it, he's a rookie, but Carlos Sainz is really taking it to him in a aggressive way. Nico Hülkenberg, I think this was one of the races that showed who's got at least between those two, Ricciardo and Hülkenberg, who really holds more of the skill. And Daniel Kvyat, I've never really seen this kind of form from him where he's making these errors, these last lap errors, which check the channel later. But when I saw it, it seemed more egregious than Mexico. Mexico looked like and Hülkenberg wasn't even mad in Mexico. He was just like, are you kidding me? It is what it is, but that's bogus. And it didn't really look like Kvyat was arguing, but when you see the onboard of this one was more like Kvyat didn't need to do what he did, and he pushed him wide. And for all the Kvyat fans out there, sorry, but it's pretty clear to me. So I'll show you what it looks like. Lance Stroll in 15th with 21 points, and Kimi in 14th, who is dominating his teammate with Antonio Giovinazzi with 4 points in 18th, and Magnussen he's close to tripling Romain Grosjean at this point. So Magnussen with 20 points, Grosjean with 8, Giovinazzi 4, Kubica with the lone, and the lone driver without a point is George Russell. So that is it for this breakdown. That is it for the standings summary, is where we are. Now you're all caught up. Hopefully you enjoyed the United States Grand Prix. A ton of content will be coming your way leading into Brazil. We've got that extra week, so this will be fun. And the F1 Wars podcast is out. I'll be doing another episode this week. They take forever. They're 20 to 30 minutes of just video, and then podcast the same length. And then on top of that, I'll be doing the Chicanes and Coffee. The Chicanes and Coffee podcast is out, so I'll be testing different types of content. But that's on iTunes as well. So I'll probably be doing a little bit more long form, just off the cuff stuff. For now, though, I'll load up a couple of audio from these videos just so you have them in there. So that's it. And thanks for checking this out, guys. And I look forward to making you a ton more stuff. And be well. I'll see you soon.